Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to my first ever upload in Northern Kingdom's Total War. In today's battle, we have the mighty warriors of Nilfgaard invading the prosperous Kingdom of Redania. After plundering the towns and villages along the river, the armies of Nilfgaard run into a well-fortified outpost, and guarding that outpost is the King of Redania himself, along with the imperial army. This was the chance that they had been waiting for. Kill the king and scatter his forces, and the Kingdom of Redania would fall into chaos. The attacking army on the battlefield today is, of course, the Empire of Nilfgaard, commanded by myself, and apologies if I am not pronouncing that quite correctly. I couldn't really find anything online to suggest whether that was the correct pronunciation or not, but if you are more familiar with the Witcher universe, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. But as I said, yes, I am playing as the army of Nilfgaard, and I'm going to take my time through the army comps here because this is the first time that I've uploaded a battle in Northern Kingdom's Total War, and I really want you guys to get a good look at these units. So you can see how I'm formed up here. I've got my main, most professional troops in the center with my general, and then I've got two almost identical wings except for the cavalry, which we'll take a look at in greater detail. So in the front lines here, I have 4 units of the Black Infantry Spearmen. I have 2 on either flank. And then I have, I believe, 8 units of the Black Infantry Swordsmen. So very similar to the Spearmen, as you can see in their look. But this is the sword and shield variant. So I've got 4 on this side and 4 on the other side. And then I have 2 units of the Black Infantry Archers. They're going to come in handy, hopefully softening up the outer defenses and forcing the Redanians back into that tight outpost. And then, of course, I do have the cavalry here as well. I've got 2 units of the Imperial cavalry with sword and shield. And running over to the other side, as you can see, it's the very same thing. So 2 Black Infantry Spearmen, 4 Black Infantry Swordsmen, 2 Black Infantry Archers, and then the cavalry is the Imperial cavalry, a lance. So I had the melee cavalry on the other side, and I've got the shock cavalry on this side. I really love the look of this professional-looking cavalry, though. I love the black with the gold trim, and even the gold and black lace up onto the lances as well. Very, very excellent unit models, I do say. And then my best, as I said, my best troops are in the center. So I've got the general right here, General Morvan Vuris. Again, let me know or correct me in the comments down below as to that pronunciation. But there he is, looking very sinister indeed. So he is ready to conquer the Kingdom of Redania. So he is a pretty solid cavalry general. But in the front lines here, I have 4 units of the Imperial pikemen. I believe I brought 4 of them, if I take a look. Yes, I did. And then on either flank, I've got some of these Imperial halberdiers. And this has to be one of my favorite units on this army roster for Nilfgaard. Look at those massive cleavers that they actually carry. Really, really cool unit. And then right behind that, I have 4 units of the Black Infantry Arbalists, but basically they're a crossbow unit. And then in reserve, my best infantry that I think that I have 5 of them. I have 5 of the Impera Swordsmen, so very heavy melee infantry. You can see that their stats are pretty solid, and good missile block as well. And you can see the army is starting to move forwards as we finish up the army comps. I've got 2 more units of cavalry, 1 on either flank here, and I believe this is my best cavalry unit. It's the Nazika Brigade, which is very heavy melee cavalry. And that pretty much rounds out the army of Nilfgaard, and they, as I said, they are moving forwards, so let's go ahead and quickly take a look at those Redanian defenders. The defending army on the battlefield today is, of course, the Kingdom of Redania, commanded by the Hunted, and as you can see, he has a pretty formidable defense within the surroundings of this outpost, and he's actually pushed out his line of defense to cover the river crossings and also the raised earthworks around the outpost as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at this very spread out defense. So he has, I believe, a couple of units of swordsmen holding the outer sections. He's got some of the Novigrad city guards, looking very cool. And he also has a few units of these Redanian swordsmen, also a very cool looking unit. He has a few units of the Redanian archers. I think he has 6 total, so he's got 2 out here, but he's also got some of the Redanian archers up on the walls. So that's going to be a very good spot for them because they will have a commanding view of the battlefield. Outside, he's got a couple units of the Novigrad City Guard's polearm, and they are being backed up by the Flaming Roses Men-at-Arms. Look at these guys. They look amazing. And I love the actual Flaming Rose emblem that is represented on their shields. For the rest of his units, I think, are mostly inside the town center. So, again, more Redanian archers. He's got the king right at the back here. King Redania V of Redania. And there he is with his crown, holding strong. The Hunted also has a few of the pike units as well, and I think the pike units are actually called Redanian pikemen. And then we've got the Kingsguard of Radovid V mixed on in. And here we go. I was looking for a unit where we could actually take a better look at them. Just look at these guys. They almost look like medieval tanks with how much armor they're wearing there. Very, very cool looking unit. He's also got a couple units of the Redanian conscripts, so some cheaper units over here that he can just push in to hold choke points as necessary. We've got some more of the city guards with polearms, and he brought the Grand Master's guards as well. Look at these guys. Very, very cool unit as well. So he's kind of got like a commander in the backside of the outpost, obviously his king. And then he's got a little sub-commander action going on with that Grandmaster's guards. Of course, we've got some more Flaming Roses Fallen Knights here, defending with the Redanian pikemen. And way over on the flanks, hidden in the trees, he's got a couple units of Redanian scouts. He has one on this flank, and then one on the far flank as well. These guys not too heavily armored, so I think that my cavalry will have the better of the cavalry engagement, but they could still be an annoyance later on in the battle. But that rounds out the army of Redania, so let's go ahead and get to the battle. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and as you can see we are pushing across the river crossings and slaughtering the Redanian soldiers that hold the opposite bank. I am trying to gain access to the back of the outpost by conquering these river crossings and then moving my troops around the rear, thus surrounding the outpost and eliminating any hope of escape. So you can see that I believe these are the city guards that we took a look at. They are holding strong, and I did skirmish them for a bit. As you can see, I used a bit of my ammunition from my black infantry archers, but I don't want to use too much of that because I want to save a lot of my ammunition for the heavily armored troops that hold the actual outpost. So the Novigrad city guards, we're going to have to just challenge them in melee. You can see that I have attacked them on the right flank, and simultaneously I am attacking them on this left flank as well, sending in 2 units of my black infantry swordsmen to challenge the Novigrad City Guard sword and shield. Let's go ahead and just zoom in and enjoy a little bit of this fighting as they desperately try to hold the opposite bank. Of course, the orders from the King of Redania: hold to the last man. He knows that if we conquer, well, the Nilfgaardians, if the Nilfgaardians conquer the opposite bank, then the outpost is surrounded. So that would cut off his supply, and it would also cut off his line of retreat as well. So these men will hold to the last, very brave. Obviously, we have a lot more men outside, but you can see on this side that they are still holding strong as well. But now I'm starting to move in some of my cavalry. You can see my 2 units of shock cavalry are going to try and push in. I notice that there is a little bit of space to the sides of their formation where we're starting to push across and force them away from the crossing itself. So you can see that I'm just trying to mass my cavalry in there and just break up their formation. There you go. You can see that some of the cavalry is actually getting through to the opposite side. I don't want to pull my cavalry through just yet because I will actually lose quite a bit of my troops doing so, but I do see that those archers are pretty much undefended at that point, and to get rid of a unit of archers this early on would be very good for me. And we do have this unit of Redanian scouts here to try and deter my horsemen, but I am not phased. The Nilfgaardian cavalry far outclasses the Redanian cavalry on the battlefield. And there we go, you can see him actually trying to volley his cavalry to get them further away so that I have more time to actually push through and get to those archers before the Redanian scouts do cut me off. Let's quickly run over to the other side where I am mirroring the exact same strategy. Again, you can see that I'm forcing my way across, pushing the Novigrad city guards with sword and shield, just pushing them back from the river's edge so that I do have a little bit of an opening to kind of sneak around. And it looks like they are not liking the fact that we're pushing across the bank. They are starting to waver. Well, they're not wavering, but their morale is not looking too hot. They're exhausted as well. They're hopelessly outnumbered and fighting a losing battle here. In fact, I would love to see this Redanian soldier here holding strong. Basically 3v1. He's also got some cavalry just breathing down his neck as well. He's cut off from his friends, and there he goes. Another slain Redanian on the riverbank. And here we go. I feel that this is the appropriate time to push through without too many losses, and it is so. And the Nilfgaardian cavalry has finally gained the opposite bank. I believe that we have over there as well. I am pushing through and have actually charged in to those archers on the opposite bank. But now I'm going to slam into the backs of the Novigrad city guard sword and shield, routing them for the battlefield for good. And there we go, a huge two-pronged charge, hammer and anvil, and effectively surrounding this unit. And they will be routing from the battlefield very shortly. I just want to run to the other side to show you exactly what is going on. So the Redanian scouts did actually get a counter charge on my Imperial cavalry with lances, which I wasn't too happy with. I was hoping that the Redanian archers would just roll over after I charged them with my cavalry. But a huge hammer and anvil charge on this unit of Novigrad City Guard sword and shield with my other lance cavalry frees up a lot of my infantry and also my second unit of cavalry, which will be able to push across and maybe actually countercharge those Redanian scouts. But just like that, the Nilfgaardian cavalry has conquered the other side of the river, and that means that we can actually get troops to the back of the outpost and cut off the King of Redania's retreat. And here we go. It looks like they're actually going to turn for a charge, and I don't even notice it. I form up my forces here and just allow them to be hammered by those Redanian scouts. So good micro work there from the Hunted. The trouble is that I was microing two separate sides at this point, so I keep jumping back between the two. But that has cost me some more of my Imperial cavalry with lances. You can see that I'm quickly trying to fix my mistake by charging in those black infantry swordsmen to just give them the edge. The Redanian scouts, though, not renowned cavalry in the Witcher universe, they are going to break very shortly, as well as those Redanian archers, which I want to make sure I completely rout from the battlefield, because if they do return, all of that ammunition is still available to the Hunted, and he could pull that archer unit back and still use it to great effect within the outpost. But now things have gotten a little bit tighter for the Hunted. You can see that now he only has a unit of Redanian scouts outside in the field. The rest are kind of defending the very large earthworks just outside of the outpost. And just because there was only one unit of Redanian scouts outside the walls, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't have been prepared for an aggressive cavalry charge into the backs of my black infantry swordsmen. And as you can see, I was grossly unprepared for that very aggressive play by the Hunted. I had more or less assumed that he would have kept his Redanian scouts in reserve for later, but he really got a solid charge off there. And as you can see, I'm trying to get my cavalry over there to lock down his Redanian scouts, but they are just so quick that he was able to pull out with only minimal losses. Consequently, I actually lost one of my units of black infantry swordsmen there. They have broken for the battlefield. Hopefully they will return to the fight. But I'm going to be a lot more careful, knowing that the Hunted is interested in doing such aggressive plays as that, and he still does have the Redanian scouts on the battlefield. I'm just moving up some of my spearmen as well to give me the edge over there. And on this far flank as well, I am setting up my forces to push into the rear of the outpost. But I hope that I did bring enough men, because they are very ingrained and entrenched upon those earthworks. While the conquest of the opposite side of the riverbank is underway, I have pushed up my crossbowmen to try and challenge the Redanian archers, and that was a big mistake. You can see that the black infantry arbalists, as I believe they're called, are being melted away by the superior Redanian archers, and also their positioning. Being up on those walls, I can do next to no damage to these archers, but he is just dishing out punishment to my crossbowmen. I believe that this one here has gotten 1 kill so far. This one I haven't even pushed into skirmish range yet, but I've been doing the same thing over here, trying to hit them from both sides, and also I've been focusing the Redanian swordsmen here, trying to soften up their defenses before my heavily armored infantry, the Empire swordsmen, have to move in. However, my crossbowmen just don't live long enough to actually be of use on the battlefield. And I have to tell you that the Nilfgaardian general was extremely disappointed with his crossbowmen. And I believe I overheard him saying that he would never bring a crossbow unit to the battlefield as long as he was in command of the army. Or maybe that was something that I was saying. I'm not exactly sure if it was me or the general of Nilfgaard. But nevertheless, these crossbowmen just did not fare well in this siege. Hopefully my archers do a little bit better, though. I do have my archers over on the other side of the river. You can see I've got the 2 units of black infantry archers there, and I've also got 2 over here as well. And oh, again, catching just in time for the Redanian scouts to charge into a very depleted unit of infantry and break them from the battlefield. But this time I was a little bit more prepared, and my heavily armored Nilfgaardian cavalry has pushed in to see these pesky farm boys on a horseback off the battlefield. And there we go, slaughtering every last one of them, making sure that they do not return to hamper us any further. But well done to the Hunted there. Again, I'm basically fighting actually 3 different fronts, because I have the front over here, and then I have this little winger front over on this section, and then of course I've got my main fight here where I'm just on the struggle bus here with my black infantry arbalists, and I believe that I get maybe a collective of 5 kills out of those 4 units. Yeah, it's not looking good for my defense. The only silver lining that I can find at this moment as we do charge in for our first push is that the Redanian archers have utilized a lot of their ammunition, so at least they won't be focusing it on any of my heavily armored infantry, and also my pikemen as we push for this outpost. Well, there we go. Black infantry pushing in against the, what are these, the Redanian swordsmen? Yes, they are. But unfortunately, you could see that the Redanian swordsmen looking pretty well. They are encouraged with their general nearby. My black infantry swordsmen are exhausted, and they are not looking as hot. Let's zoom out and see what else is going on. We've got another good staunch defense over here. And yes, we have pushed in with my more elite units. Excellent. So I believe these are the Empire swordsmen going up against the Redanian swordsmen. So they should fare a little bit better. But again, look at this over here from those Redanian archers, just actually catching the flank of my Empire swordsmen, starting to whittle them down. And that is not what I need, especially when we actually started with less men than the defenders did. You can see I started with 5,820, and the defenders have 6,180 men. But my Empire swordsmen are fighting bravely, and as you can see, the Redanian swordsmen are falling quickly. The Hunted is going to need to send in a supporting unit very soon. Otherwise, my infantry will inevitably overpower theirs. However, this isn't even at the outpost yet, where he's got a pike and sword formation at those 2 outposts. Over here, you can see, again, my Empire swordsmen doing rather well. Again. Oh, actually, a couple of the Redanian swordsmen, though, beheading some of the elite-trained Imperial warriors. Well done, well done. I am over here, though, with my cavalry. I see an opening where I might be able to get a rear charge into some of these units that are unsuspecting. So there we go. I'm going to start hammering in to this one unit of Redanian swordsmen with my cavalry. And I believe that this is, yes, my lance cavalry. So just in that charge, you can see that their morale has dropped quite considerably, and they lost about 30 men. But then me actually pulling out of the fight, I did lose about 10 cavalry units there as well. I'm also trying to utilize my crossbowmen to some effect by focusing the flank of the Redanian swordsmen there. Again, if I can just break them on that little choke point, I will be able to rear charge the witch hunters here and also the Redanian swordsmen. And apologies, guys, I just realized I neglected to show you these witch hunters. I forgot that the Hunted had brought a couple of these to the battlefield. So there's their stats for you. You can see 160 men. Pretty cool looking unit as well. I love the hats that they have. But yeah, the witch hunters, they're just light melee infantry, but they do have some pretty good melee attack and melee damage, so we'll see how they do. And I believe that they are going to support the Redanian swordsmen here very shortly. You can see I've pushed in my Imperial halberdiers there to just punch through these choke points. Over here, I am trying with my archers to get some good shots off on the soldiers in the center, but the Redanian archers with that superior position just outrange me. Over here, though, I am pushing quite aggressively on this flank. You can see I've actually managed to surround some of those Redanian swordsmen there. I'm charging in some more as well, just trying to add numbers to the fight. Brave Redanian warriors protecting their king. They have a lot more at stake here. The loss of their king could send their kingdom into chaos. Total anarchy if the king is killed. Whereas Nilfgaard over here, they will just lose one of their many armies. There we go. Yeah, still pushing through, as you can see. Again, losing a lot of men there as I keep continuing to pull out. But the Imperial cavalry with lances, they just need to break through here. And I will eventually activate the Nazika Brigade, my elite sword and shield melee cavalry. There we go. I'm bringing them across. I see that this is a weak point in the Hunted's defenses, and if I could break through here, I will be able to actually destroy this flank. And then I might actually be able to utilize this causeway here between the outer and inner walls to get behind these units where the witch hunters and Redanian swordsmen are holding me on this flank as well. So we'll keep a good eye on that. I'm just going to show you other areas of the battlefield. So we did conquer the far outer walls there with those towers, and I'm keeping these 2 units of black infantry archers in reserve because I just need to keep some of my archers alive. You can see that these 2 are kind of getting decimated by this single unit of Redanian archers. There we go, some of my black infantry swordsmen breaking from the battlefield. Thankfully, they did rally. I'll be sending them back in. And yeah, watching what's going on over here, yeah, I think we can't wait any longer because we've got the Imperial Lance Cavalry pushing in, but now I've got the Nazika Brigade closing the gap as well. So I'm going to keep these guys in melee and then get a solid charge onto them as well. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Again, the center was kind of blocked by my unit, but throwing a couple of the Redanian swordsmen to the ground there, and yeah, they are looking pretty dire. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my Nazika Brigade, hopefully not losing any of them, which it doesn't look like I am, because this unit was still engaging the Redanian swordsmen in melee. However, my Imperial cavalry with lances are getting slaughtered at this point. They are definitely out of this fight. I don't dare pull them out at this point, though, because they will break for sure. Just allow them to try and get a few extra kills. Oh, my poor Nilfgaardian cavalry. And there we go. And that does leave this unit of Redanian swordsmen now exposed to the full might of the charge from that cavalry. So let's watch this really quickly. I want to get a good zoom out too so we can see the actual the actual effects of the charge, throwing the unit to the ground. Again, this is melee cavalry, so they don't have the best charge, but that was a good enough charge for me. And that has actually broken us through here, and I believe that the second unit of Nausicaa Brigade is coming to exploit this opening in the walls. And the Hunted does not have any more cavalry at this point, so it's not like he can quickly send that unit to block me. And now the Nausicaa Brigade has broken through, and this is exactly what we needed. Exactly what we needed. Come on, forming up there. I don't know if the archers have used up their ammunition. It says they are firing, but I just need to get my cavalry into the backs of these witch hunters. Here we go. Huge warhammers and maces ready, and they do charge into the backs of the Redanian swordsmen outside the walls. Unfortunately, a lot of the unit was caught behind there. And we actually have a couple of little duels going on at the back from some of those units that were breaking. But how is the morale looking? Yes, the Redanian swordsmen have broken, and the witch hunters not far behind. We've got a unit of, what is this, the Novigrad city guards with pole arms moving forwards here. But what I need to do is to get this unit over here to actually utilize this causeway and hit the backs of those Redanian swordsmen that are holding me on that flank. Here comes the unit of polearms. I see them trying to form up, so I'm going to turn around and get a bit of a charge into them as well. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. I don't know if we killed any, though. Yeah, we killed a couple. And the other unit charging in now as well. So yeah, those Novigrad city guards are actually not looking too good. Morale dropping quite quickly. I'm going to send in my Impera halberdiers and my Impera swordsmen to just add some infantry to the mix there, because I don't want to lose my Nausicaa Brigade having them fight the halberdiers or the polearms in melee. Let's go ahead and look at the back sections of the wall where fighting has ground to a standstill. I've actually got some black infantry spearmen in over here fighting these Redanian swordsmen who just refuse to give up their positions. And over here, I think it's the same story as well. Yeah, Redanian swordsmen holding us back. I need to get this unit charged in, though, because the Redanian archers are having a heyday firing at this unit, and we're losing men unnecessarily here as they're not even in melee. I need to get them charged in, but as I said, I'm probably microing somewhere else on the battlefield. And how are those halberdiers doing? They're holding, actually. They are holding. And I need to just get this Nausicaa Brigade out of melee. And what am I doing here with them? I don't know if I wouldn't push them in, boys. There's some pikemen there. Don't push them in. That's not a good idea. Oh, and there we go. Okay, I am going to try and pull through. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose some men doing that. Oh, that's not a good decision. The Redanian archers just firing frantically into the Nausicaa Brigade. The Hunted surely seeing what I have planned. And it looks like the Witch Hunters are going to take the full brunt of that cavalry charge, although a lot of the cavalry isn't in position yet. You can see that I'm trying to get the full force of my unit over here before I do actually commit to a charge. And, oh, look at this. We've actually got some of the cavalry coming out the gates there, albeit without their riders. And surely that will break those Witch Hunters as well. However, we do have those Flaming Rose Fallen Knights that have pushed forwards to just strengthen this area of the battlefield a little bit more. Here comes the second one as well, the second unit of Nausicaa Brigade, but look how many troops I lost in those units just by pulling through. I'm not sure if it was even worth it. However, we do have another unit, a fresh unit of Redanian swordsmen over here, pushing very hard on the flank of my Impera swordsmen. 40 minutes left to go in this battle. My Impera halberdiers pushing very hard against their Novigrad city polearms. But we've got another unit of city polearms that actually is going to box in my unit here. You can see that I'm quickly trying to counter that with one of my units of Impera swordsmen. But my halberdiers kind of just standing there, not really doing too much. And there we go, we're going to be pressured from the flank. So that is not what I wanted to have happen. Pretty much an effective surround of those Impera halberdiers. I will say that the pathfinding on this map isn't the greatest. It was a little buggy in this area trying to get things to line up properly, and the same thing over here as well. I was having a lot of trouble lining up my units, but even still, we seem to be pushing, although we are losing quite a few units. Actually, we've got almost like a push over here, or a sally out from the hunted, breaking my spearmen. He's got his city guards polearms. We've got Redanian swordsmen there, some flaming roses men-at-arms, forcing us back down those ramparts. And my troops over here on this far side of the river are looking pretty banged up. Not many warriors with the stomach left to fight on this side of the battlefield, which is very unfortunate. As far as my cavalry goes, I've still got them here just cycle charging into the backs of those Flaming Roses Fallen Knights and the Redanian swordsmen there. I've got another unit that just wanted to make sure that Redanian sword unit had broken for good. But not doing too well on, not doing too bad with the Nausicaa Brigade. 248 kills with the one unit. That's nothing to scoff at. And there we go. I have managed to save my Imperial Halberdiers from that flank. I believe that a choice charge from the Nausicaa Brigade has broken those Novigrad, city guards with polearms. And now it's kind of 1v1 once again. But just look at this here, a brave sally out. The hunted actually conquering more land outside of the outpost, and I really can't do much about that. I kind of just have to sit back and watch that happen. I'm quickly trying to form up some form of defense, countercharging with my black infantry swordsmen there, but the Flaming Roses, the Flaming Roses men-at-arms there, very, very tough unit. And we've also got some of the polearms outside the walls as well. I have nothing to combat that. However, I believe I do have 2 units of fresh cavalry that have come to my aid. I did have 2 units of cavalry from this flank that were hidden in the trees, and this is a perfect opportunity to break these 3 units and not allow them to return to the safety of the outpost. The hunted immediately seeing that, he's activating his Redanian conscripts to plug that gap, so I actually don't push in to the outpost itself. And I've got another unit of Imperial Halberdiers. I will be surrounding those Novigrad city guards. However, I do see that some Redanian pikemen have been pushing out, so I am moving to try and block them so that they don't actually save those surrounded halberdiers. But yeah, I think that this little palisade here, that's what actually causes a bit of the buggy pathfinding. So it was really difficult to actually form up halberdiers for both sides. I know that Hunted was having some trouble with that as well. But there we go. Yep, just going to surround those halberdiers and make sure that they are driven from the battlefield. However, we're getting some pikemen actually flanking my halberdiers as well, so both of us working very hard to try and flank the other. How are we looking over here? Just in time, actually, to catch a charge on the side of this unit of city guards with polearms. Over here as well, charging up the slopes with my cavalry onto those Redanian swordsmen. Again, you can see me trying to pull through. It's actually because of the pathfinding there. I wasn't able to actually go around for some reason. That seemed to be the only way up. But trying to charge into the rear of the city guards with polearms, also focusing them with my archers. We've got the Flaming Roses men-at-arms, which I've surrounded outside the walls. And there we go! They have broken from the battlefield. I want to make sure that they are broken for good, though. I don't want to let that unit, that fairly healthy unit, get back to the outpost or the town center. But I also want to make sure that these Flaming Roses men-at-arms are driven from the battlefield as well. Using my spears as the anvil and hammering down onto the rear positions of these men-at-arms. And those, yeah, so they have not returned, which is excellent. I'm focusing with my archers just to try and break them, but there we go. They did rally. I should be able to break them with my Imperial City Cavalry, though, and I'm also just pummeling them with arrows. Here we go. Let's actually get a slow-motion charge of the cavalry coming in here, seeing off the halberdiers. They did manage to get them down just in time. And with being such a thin formation, a lot of the cavalry unit actually just charged right past. However, they are going to just turn around and then surround the Redanian halberdiers once again. We've got a little fight there. There we go, cutting him down from horseback. I love it. Some of the best fighting in Total War is when cavalry is fighting infantry. I just love it. It's almost like knight versus commoner. I should say from the hunted standpoint as well, so I'm not super biased. It is equally satisfying when you see just some kind of conscript or just a basic men-at-arms or a city guard warrior, or whatever you would call it. It is satisfying to see them pull a heavily armored knight from his horse as well. There we go, surrounding them, and they should break for good the next time they do break. Let's go ahead and run over here and see what's going on. Yeah, there we go. As I was talking about, you can see that my two units here are formed up. This isn't how I wanted them to form up, but because of this little entity in the center, there's a little bit of pathfinding issues. But take a look at this blob over here. We've got more Redanian pikemen pushing forwards. The hunted, confident in his defense here of this outpost, pushing forwards to actually hold me on the earthworks here that were built up. I've got another fresh unit of Imperial swordsmen pushed in, and it looks like the hunted is almost out of ammunition. He's actually saving some of his ammunition on this Redanian archer for, I don't know, for later. We'll see how he uses that. Here we go, the Flaming Rose's men-at-arms going to receive another solid charge from the Nilfgaardian cavalry into their back. Over here, my spear is struggling, and this was definitely the hardest of the four flanks that I had going. Trying to push in over here was just absolute murder. Literally, for my soldiers, they were just dying so quickly. My poor black infantry swordsmen and spearmen, just no chance to push through those city guards, especially being supported by the Flaming Rose's men-at-arms. Come on, men, break through! The enemy of our king is in there. Whoever slays the king gets half the kingdom. I'd be such a terrible king. You know, I'd be making promises like that all the time. I'd just be giving my kingdom away. What do we got going on over here? Do we have another charge? Looks like a unit not formed up properly. That was a pretty big charge into their flank. I think that's a spear unit as well. Yeah, the Redanian conscripts taking a huge hit to the side. And look at their numbers dropping there. Especially with them being conscripts, their morale is probably not the best. And there we go, yes, okay, so it looks like the hunted has decided that what little ammunition he does have left needs to be used on the superior Impera cavalry. Come on, break those conscripts. Look at the death and destruction out here, though. You can see we've got a unit of Redanian swordsmen fighting some spears. I don't know who is going to win that engagement, but my black infantry spearmen, I've got 33. There's 27 of the Redanian swordsmen, but my spears break first. Wow. Good on Redania. Well done. And over here, I have completely evacuated this choke point. In fact, both of these units had broken from the battlefield. Let's just quickly run over to the main fight. This is pretty much the main fight outside of the outpost. We've got the most units for Redania. I believe 4 units from Redania fighting 4 units from Nilfgaard. My halberdiers could be pushed in a little bit further. That is for certain. But the one thing that is in my favor at this point that I would say, it's not the balance of power. I only have 2,100 men, and the hunted with his Redanian army has 3,300. But I still haven't used my 4 units of Impera pikemen, and I am just now sending a unit to both of these front positions to try and get the edge here. And there's the cocky King Redania V just sitting there, telling his forces to push outside the walls here, confident of victory, but forgetting the deadliness of the Imperial Cavalry sword and shield. And look at these Redanian swordsmen here, wavering, refusing to break, actually starting to waver my black infantry archers. I am desperately trying to ignore them because I see the City Guard polearm unit coming forwards here, and I wanted to just break them from the battlefield. I do try to get them out of position with my cavalry here. And there we go. He just manages to get them into position in time. That was a really good volley from my archers, though, into their flank. Oh, I need to get my cavalry out of there, though. I don't want to be fighting polearms. Let's take a look at the Flaming Rose's men-at-arms, though. They're going to be charged in the flank, and nope, it doesn't look like the Hunted is noticed. He's just so focused on going after the black infantry swordsman here and saving his Redanian swordsman that he's allowed me to kind of pick his unit apart from behind. The Flaming Rose's men-at-arms now down to 127 men. Over here again, focusing the Novigrad city polearms with those archers. But my spearmen actually not facing the right way. I've got some Redanian conscripts, so I guess I was unsuccessful in breaking them. Let's take a look at this cavalry charge here as I send the Nilfgaardian cavalry into their flank, or their rear. Come on, surely we can break a couple of conscripts, men. Surely. Good volleys there on those polearms. The good thing about polearms for me is that they are a very slow-moving unit. And it looks like as he is going to line up to charge my spearmen, I'm going to get a good charge into the flank. And this time the Hunted is not so lucky in how they set up. They are facing the wrong direction. And my spearmen are just going to cut them down. Thankfully, those conscripts have broken from the battlefield. And look at this, my pikemen. My Imperial pikemen being focused down by those Redanian archers. The outpost is looking a lot more empty, though, than it was when we began this battle. And here we go. I've got my Redanian halberdiers pressing on the... Oh, goodness. I said Redanian halberdiers. I meant Imperial halberdiers. Pressing on the Redanian pikemen's flank, trying to cut them off. If I can actually push forwards and get into the actual opening of the outpost, those two units will be effectively surrounded. But I'm always drawn back over here to this epic fight. Let's actually zoom in and see a little bit more fighting. You can see that only one unit is really engaged at this point. Yes, come on. Yes, nice. Taking down the flag bearer there. I don't know if you guys saw that. Well done. Looks like we have some Redanian warriors trying to get retribution for their fallen comrade. Oh, but he is slain as well. It's actually good that I'm focusing a lot of my attention over here because as you can see, the pikemen are actually facing a different direction. So I'm really hammering hard on the flanks. Wow, there we go. Some Redanians getting some kills there against my elite Impera swords. Well done, well done. How is the sally out going for the Hunted at this point? He's still doing pretty well, I do have to say. There we go, another charge into the backs of these Redanian swordsmen. We've got some Redanian conscripts that were trying to reinforce, but they have shattered from the battlefield. And we've got the Flaming Rose's men-at-arms over here as well that are going to be pressured by my cavalry. And I've got a unit of Impera pikemen over here that will be pushing into the center. Or sorry, into the opening of the outpost, and it's the same story here as well. Finally, this is the closest that my units have gotten to entering the outpost. Just trying to get a good angle there. Come on, boys, you need to push a little bit further than that. They're still out of range. Come on, men, come on, over here as well. I think that these guys have engaged. Yes, they have. And who is this that I am fighting? The King's Guard. Okay, so we're getting to the very elite Redanian soldiers now, the King's Guard. Fighting my pikemen in melee. Not a very good pike formation, but I think that these close quarters openings of the outpost do favor the Redanian defenders. It's very difficult to form up your pikemen and effectively push through. This side looks a little bit more formed up, but we're really not. I don't think the entirety of the unit is actually attacking. However, what little attacks we are doing are actually cutting down these Redanian conscripts. I got excited for a minute because I thought it was another unit of Kingsguard, but no, they're just conscripts. Oh, man. Desperate times. 25 minutes left in the battle with 1,600 men for the attackers, 2,600. So he has over 1,000 men more than me at this point. And all of these units are just not engaged. I have to push them forwards a little bit more. I really do. Except this one unit of Imperial swordsmen. They are just going ham. You can see even actually reaching some of the Flaming Rose's men-at-arms that are at the back of their formation. Come on, boys. Come on. For the glory of Nilfgaard, you must get to the king. I do love the models of those Redanian archers, too. Really cool looking. Looks like they're actually trying to shoot point blank as well. And look at this guy with his little, like, gnome hat. He's a gnome. Oh, what a sick hat. I love that. He's got his little Sikhs out. He's fighting in melee with the rest of them. It's all hands on deck. I respect that. Come on, man. Come on. What else is going on over here? We actually do have General Morvran Vorus himself over here on this side of the battlefield, and I am committing my final 2 units of pikemen, one to this flank and one to this flank. So at that point, all of my units will be committed to the battlefield, and I think this is the final charge that I need to make against these dreaded forces that sallied out from the walls. That was a really good charge there, but still even these men-at-arms slaughtering my men. Even in the face of pretty much total destruction, they are just holding. There we go. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Well done. Well done. And just like that, at the cost of maybe 1,500 to 2,000 of our Nilfgaardian warriors, we have conquered the outer walls of the outpost, and now comes taking the outpost itself. That is going to be the true true difficulty. He's got his best units in here. He's still got the Grandmaster's guards. We've got, of course, King Radovid V himself. We've got a lot of Flaming Rose's Fallen Knights. We've got, of course, the King's Guard, which are going to be very difficult. He has another unit hidden in those pike units. Actually, he might have another 2. Yes, he does. So some very solid units still left on this battlefield. And not many solid units that haven't seen melee for Nilfgaard. So we definitely aren't out of the woods yet. Thankfully, we have pressured them back to the outpost itself, but there is still a lot more blood to be shed. And this is where things start to get a little better for the armies of Nilfgaard. Using that causeway that the cavalry used earlier, I was able to swing a unit of pikemen and Imperial swordsmen around to hit the flanks of the majority of the Redanian army that is fighting outside the walls. So you can see that I did bring up my unit of Imperial pikemen over here, but I've also got a unit of pikemen and swordsmen on their flank. Now, we do have some of the Redanian archers that have pushed in to try and mitigate that charge, but now being pressured on 2 sides, you can see those pikemen are starting to drop. Over here as well, we have forced them pretty much back into the outpost itself. The Redanian archers that were sent in to bolster the ranks are wavering, and it is looking very empty over here on this side. And you can see that I've got the general sitting right here. Looks like actually we've got a unit of Redanian pikemen that have come back from routing, but the general is eager to get his sword wet, and he's going to take out those pikemen and kind of get ready for his part in the battle. You can see that my cavalry is still sitting over there, waiting for an opening as well. But here we go. Little bit of retribution for all the men that he has lost, including some of his elite cavalry, the nobility, friends, family, people he knew, people he grew up with. They should have kept running. They shouldn't have rallied. And there we go. So the general getting his sword wet just a little bit there before getting ready for the next phase of the plan, which is to conquer this outer outpost. I'm really pushing hard to try and break the Redanian archers here. The Flaming Roses Fallen Knights, although they still have 49 in their ranks, they are pressed up against that wall, and with that opening there, you can see that I do have the ability to get into the outpost itself. Again, the spearmen over here being run down by my Imperial Cavalry sword and shield, but they are being called back across the other side of the river, which I will bring them over shortly. Still a very tough fight, though, for both Redania and Nilfgaard, I do have to say. But now with the support of my pikemen, you can see that the Redanians are kind of losing a little bit of their momentum. And look at that, being pressured on both sides there. Very cool indeed. Let's zoom out and... Oops, my bad, guys. Sorry about that. Let's zoom out and see what is happening on the other side of the battlefield. We've got the Imperial pikemen, pushing in against some Redanian archers. It looks like we do have the Kingsguard and the Redanian pikemen in reserve, though, ready to receive my pikemen when they break those archers. We've also got more Redanian archers that are helping the Kingsguard on this side fight my pikemen. Look at this terrible formation here. Again, the pathfinding really keeping my unit from actually forming up properly. But even so, we are holding the Redanians at bay there with my pike units. Come on, force them back. Yes, there we go. Push. Force them back, men. Don't let those Kingsguard get too close. They will cut you down. Well done, well done, well done. Over here as well. Oh, it's getting pretty laggy over here on this side of the battlefield. A lot of dead men, that is for sure. A lot of dead men. But now having pikes on both sides, this is really favoring the Nilfgaardians. And as soon as their pikemen break, I'm trying to push them further away from the outpost, so if they do break, they're not even going to be able to break back in to the safety of the outpost. They're going to have to break probably through my men, which it looks like that unit of Redanian swordsmen, I believe. Oh no, the Flaming Roses Fallen Knights. We also have some Redanian swordsmen that have broken, and they are just trying to push through my men where they'll be cut to pieces. Very, very good. Look how close the general is hovering on this side of the battlefield as well. The Flaming Roses desperately trying to hold this choke point. I think the Hunted a little bit reluctant to actually push some troops over here. I don't know why that is, because he's definitely holding off my 2 units of pikemen without too much trouble. I don't know if he's worried about my cavalry or... I also know that I think the Hunter was feeling a little bit bad for me as well, because I was just having so much trouble getting any headway for most of the battle. I'm sure you guys will agree, until I actually committed my pikemen, it was looking to be an absolute destruction of the army of Nilfgaard at the hands of the Redanians. But now, they can go any way. The balance of power is very even. You can see that I've clawed back with my pikemen that 1,000-man deficit that we had just a little while ago. It's now almost even, 1,200 Nilfgaardians to 1,400 Redanians on the battlefield. And yes, those pikemen looking very worse for wear. They're starting to waver as well. I've got some of my heavily armored units pushing through the gap, trying to break up that pike formation. You can actually see I've got a couple actually behind the lines as well, getting the pike unit to turn around. Well, not the whole unit, but a couple of the men, in the unit, to turn around, to break their pike formation and actually challenge me in melee. And these poor archers here, these Smurf archers, just being destroyed. It doesn't even matter that it's like 3v2 or 4v2. These guys are just so heavily armored. Well done, well done. And look at this. Look at this awesome formation from the Hunted. He definitely has a certain flair about him, as he's got the Kingsguard here with the Grand Master's Guards. defending this section in wedge formation. How amazing does that look? Especially this unit, the Grandmaster's Guards. If I was a little boy in the Kingdom of Redania, I would definitely aspire to be one of the Grandmaster's Guards eventually. Well, there we go. Look at this, guys. Now that I feel I can break through, I've brought my 2 units of depleted cavalry. The Grandmaster's Guards really tried to catch me, but it is far too late, and I'm able to complete that encirclement on the units that are outside the walls here. And it looks like we do have the Grandmaster's Guards who realize that the Flaming Roses have broken, and I'm sending more halberdiers and swordsmen into the outpost. He has to disengage the Grandmaster's Guard from chasing my cavalry, and actually needs to charge in over here against my halberdiers. So now the Grandmaster's Guard is engaged in melee. This guy is an absolute beast though, but now that I see that the Grandmaster's Guard is engaged in melee, and also this unit of Kingsguard of Radovid V has engaged my cavalry that charge the pikemen, the general is free to move in and start to hit those Redanian archers, and then I'm going to start ping-ponging back and forth between these 2 units, trying to wear them down and break them from the battlefield. Here we go, trying to get a good charge onto the Kingsguard, and it looks like I may heavily armored general of Nilfgaard, getting a very solid charge there. Even charging up the slopes to get those men there. Apologies for that too, guys. And then charging into the backs of that unit of guards, Grandmaster's Guards, down to 118 men now. Disgusting charge there. And the Grandmaster's Guard's not looking too hot, and the Hunted, yes, he's bringing King Radovid himself and a unit of Redanian pikemen over here to try and stabilize this situation, because left unchecked, my general is just going to destroy the Grandmaster's Guards and those Kingsguard, especially with the help of my unit of Imperial Halberdiers there. There we go, moving again with the general, hitting the back of the Grandmaster's Guards down to 89 men. Looks like the king actually charging in to try and hit my general and lock him in melee there, but I am counter-charging with some Imperial swordsmen, locking him in place. And all I need is for these 2 units to break. That will allow all of these units, the pikemen included, to actually get into the city center. And all that is left over here to defend, which actually, to be fair, is more than enough, is the Kingsguard on either side. We've got a couple units of depleted Redanian archers, but they're a little bit redundant. I don't think he needs them. The Kingsguard are more than a match for my 2 units of pikemen over there. But the Grandmaster's Guards with a single gold chevron down to 55 men, and they are holding strong. My general over here, General Movrenvuris, with 209 kills, sees those pikemen are actually pushing in, and it is time that we get my general out of there. And I think that the way out of there is through the Grandmaster's Guards. They're quite depleted, and they're fighting my Imperial Halberdiers, so I might be able to actually disengage him without losing too many men. However, we've got King Radovid V of Redania, his unit's still at full strength, and 2 units, 1 unit of Imperial pikemen, 1 unit of Imperial halberdiers moving to the opposite side to support the Imperial halberdiers over here challenging the Grandmaster's Guards. Unfortunately, if I put it on slow motion here, just because so much is happening, you can see that my poor swordsmen here are completely outclassed by the General and the Kingsguard. They're not going to survive this fight, that is for sure. You can see them desperately trying to hold. And I guess they did do their job. They broke off the King Radovid V from my general, and my general was able to escape. Look at that, though. Jumping and slamming his sword down on the shield of my warriors. Many of them being cut down, as you can see, now that the full might of King Radovid and his bodyguard have focused in on my warriors. But here we go. I'm trying to push through with my pikemen here. Finally, I've got some swords and a depleted unit of halberdiers that is able to push through. I've got my pikemen over here in a very bizarre formation, fighting the hunted and his pikemen, trying to lock them down. And yeah, General Vorus, I have to be careful with him, because if he dies, my units will surely rout from the battlefield. So everything hangs on General Vorus surviving this battle. Let's go ahead and put it back onto play. And see what happens. So more pikemen being pushed in on this flank. We've got the hunted actually sees that. He's going to move a unit of Redanian pikemen over to counter the fact that I'm bringing some pikemen forwards. Hunted very good with his micro this game, I do have to say. And look who's coming in once again, General Vorus. He is not out of this fight. He is depleted, but he is not interested in sitting back and waiting for his army to be destroyed. And what he's actually doing is he's going to cross the river and see if he can break the Kingsguard on the far side. And it looks like the Kingsguard is going to disengage there, but General Vorus is going to get a very solid charge onto the Redanian elite. My goodness, and my pikemen just actually coming back from routing there. Going to, again, ping-pong over here and charge into the backs of the Redanian archers, trying to waver and break them from the battlefield. The Kingsguard looking very depleted over here on this side as well. Very depleted, a little bit depleted, I should say. But General Vorus really hitting hard on that Kingsguard there. And I hope that's not General Vorus. Okay, we're good, we're good. Come on, General Vorus. With your men there. There he is. There he is. Is he going in again? He is going in again. Kingsguard? What Kingsguard? Even as depleted as he is going to continue cycle charging to give his men a chance. As you can see, though, our numbers are dwindling. And King Radovid V, very heavy command unit. I don't know what his stats are like compared to any other unit. But yeah, a lot of morale, which makes sense. Not much missile blocks, so I guess we could have focused him down a little bit better. But yeah, melee defense, 68, armor 75, melee attack 53, melee damage 40. He is quite the heavy hitter. And I am moving a unit of Imperial halberdiers in behind this unit of Redanian pikemen. Of course, my Redanian pikemen over here kind of in a very bizarre position there. And I'm not charging them in, probably because I'm over here desperately microing General Vorus on this side of the battlefield. He's down to 9 men in his bodyguard, just running around trying to get the Kingsguard exhausted. I've pushed in my unit of Imperial pikemen here. I'm going to try and block the Kingsguard with the pikemen so that General Vorus can get some more heavy charges into the backs of these Redanian warriors. And that looks like a pretty juicy option, but I'm going to go for that instead, trying to alleviate some pressure on my poor pikemen there. Let's quickly jump over to this side and see what's going on. I have broken through here, so I do have some men coming through. 6 minutes left in the battle, and the balance of power looking to be in my favor. 556 to 471 men remaining. So for the first time in this entire battle, I actually have the man count advantage. The hunted seeing this, he's quickly trying to reform his pikemen there, but he has to be careful that he doesn't allow his king to get cut off and surrounded. And speaking of that, there's the king. There he is. He's actually right in the front of the battle. Oh my goodness, some very aggressive slaughter going on as the king towers over his men, cheering confident at victory. You can see in the background there, General Vorus still going ham onto the Kingsguard. Me finally deciding to push in my Imperial halberdiers. And I believe I've got more units over here. We've got a pikeman versus pikeman battle. The Redanian pikemen desperate to hold at this point. Yes, there we go. Oh! Kicking the lifeless body of that Redanian pikeman unit to the ground. Come on, men. Come on. We can do this. We can do this. General Vorus, stay alive, my friend. 5 men left in his bodyguard. We've got the Kingsguard actually disengaging from my pike fight altogether. This unit of Kingsguard slaughtered at the hands of General Vorus. And it looks like he is going to try and charge in again, trying to break this Kingsguard and then free up this pikeman unit. Come on, Vorus, you got to get out of there. Run! Run! There we go. My other pikeman unit is now free to get into the outpost. So I've got my 2 units of pikemen. Surely this one will break, though, and General Vorus is leaving the outpost on this side. Pretty well over here. It's going pretty well. Redanian pikemen, no match for my Empire swordsman here, especially in this type of formation. Looking at the man count, though, 384 to 385, so it is so even, guys. But my biggest worry is King Radovid V of Redania, up to 130 kills, and he's only lost 6 men in his retinue. 6 men! There's King Radovid's, some of his bodyguard, actually. The rest of them are actually over here fighting the Imperial Halberdiers. I would love to just get a little bit more slow motion. I know this is quite a long battle for you guys. But just as this comes to the epic climax here... Oh, there he is. He's actually towards the back, so he's pretty safe, which is unfortunate. If only I could break those pikemen there. And you can see we've... Oh, yes! You can see that we've actually got the Grandmaster's Guards with 9 men remaining. They still hold on the battlefield. You guys probably thought that they had broken by now. That is not the case. The Grandmaster's Guards are holding strong and actually blocking my reinforcements from coming back in to aid General Vorus. Now, General Vorus, I don't know where I had him at this point in the battlefield. There he is. I've got basically him down to 2 men at this point. So it's General Vorus and 1 soldier from his retinue still alive. And he has decided to abandon his pikemen on this flank. He's done enough damage to the Kingsguard. What he really needs to do is keep his men in line and keep them from breaking. You can see the Halberdiers, they're not looking very good. They're exhausted. This unit of Imperial swordsmen is going to be of big help, though, because as you can see, I can charge the backs of this pikeman unit and break it from the battlefield, or at least that's what I'm hoping. Going to send it back to regular speed as we surround the Redanian pikemen, having to fight on both flanks now. But the Kingsguard, I cannot break the Kingsguard. Especially that bodyguard unit. You can see King Radovid right there. King Radovid V, still confident in his win. Even my best units, the Imperial swordsmen, they don't look nearly as heavily armored as the Redanians. And where is my general at this point? If we look through, where is he? There he is. There he is. Let's go ahead and zoom into his standpoint there. It is quite laggy because there is a lot of dead on the battlefield. But just trying to rally his men. Come on. Come on, Nilfgaardians. Break the Imperial army. 1 minute 47 seconds remaining. 223 to 265. So we're actually losing in the man count now. You can see the balance of power starting to slip away. And again, King Radovid V still at 112 men. How is he still at 112 men? General Vorus there charging in against the pikeman unit, but surely this is going to be his end. He just wants vengeance against this unit, the Kingsguard of Radovid V. I don't know where Radovid is at this point. I don't see him anywhere nearby. But there he goes. Vorus has been slain on the battlefield. And where is the king? There he is. He's at the front there. There he is. The king himself. Is he going to get some kills? 135 men to 240. Oh my goodness. Definitely watching the back of the king there. Why don't you let the king fight his own battles there, buddy? My goodness. I respect the Redanian king, though, in the thick of it with his men, covered in blood, taking the fight to the enemy. Absolutely crazy battle. I hope you guys enjoyed. Down to 64 men, 229 men remaining for the Redanians as they hold that outpost. So let's go ahead and take a look at the end results. Alright guys, welcome to the end results screen, and as you can see I did field less men than the hunted did, but it was purely because I brought more cavalry than he did. I had 6 units plus my general 7, and he only had 2. Of course, Radovid V was on foot. But taking a look at my units that did push across the river and go in through the back of the outpost, that was all my black infantry swordsmen, my black infantry spearmen here, and my 4 units of archers. So you can see not really many kills on a lot of those units. My 1 black infantry spearman did get 142 kills, and 2 of my infantry got over 100, but many others barely got any kills at all. And same with my archers, 1 of them getting 116, but the rest of them not many kills either. But my elite units that did push in through the front, you can see I've got all my Imperial swordsmen here. Check this out, 511, 417, 311, 221, and 154. So these 2 units together almost got 1,000 kills for me. So very, very good. My halberdiers, it was kind of a mixed bag. This one didn't do too well, but again, we were dealing with a lot of pathfinding issues, and my halberdiers were having a lot of hard time forming up. So I still think that 203, 143, and 162 are quite good kills. Also, my pikemen moving in only in battle for probably the last 25 minutes of the battle, and oftentimes unsupported by other infantry units. 299, 199, 311, and 99. Very good there. Crossbows were absolutely garbage. I will never bring them when playing as Redania ever again. Or sorry, as Nilfgaard. I would much rather the Redanian archers, but we'll take a look at those in a second. But where I got most of my kills was with my cavalry, especially the Imperial cavalry with sword and shield. They did excellent for me. And then, of course, General Vorus at the very end. Again, only in melee for probably about the last 10 minutes of the battle. Almost 400 kills with him. Looking at the Kingdom of Redania, I'm still shocked that his bodyguard got 224 kills and lost 8 men in his unit. That is absolutely insane. Of course, the Grandmaster's guards, low kills there, but they were hammered by General Vorus, and they still held strong with 9 men remaining in their unit until the end of the battle. So really respectable unit there. The Witch Hunters didn't do too good, but the Flaming Roses Men-at-Arms did solidly. We have the Novigrad City Guards Sword and Shield and the Redanian Swordsmen, one of them actually getting 334 kills there. The Flaming Roses Fallen Knights did pretty well. The King's Guard of Radovid, 2 of them did pretty good. The Conscripts fared as you would expect. The City Guard Polearms did alright. His pikemen did very well. A lot of them getting over 100 kills, but his archers were what saved the day. I think that if his archers performed as poorly as my archers and crossbows did, the Nilfgaardians would have taken the outpost. But 233, 206, 218, 256, 321, 189, and 205, really good kills there. And also for the Redanian scouts, they didn't do as well. Of course, they were outclassed by the Nilfgaardian cavalry, but I still think that they caused quite a bit of damage to me early on. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and if any of you have any replays in Northern Kingdoms Total War and you don't have plans to send them anywhere else, please do send them to me because I would love to cover them. But regardless, I will be playing this mod more and hopefully uploading some more content in this mod within the next few weeks. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one.